Okay, and it is 6:30. Call the meeting to order. Certified compliance with the open records law?
Yes.
We'll have roll call, please.
Councilmember Gillis.
Here.
Councilmember Hartson.
Here.
Councilmember Hooker.
Here.
Councilmember Raisler is absent. Councilmember Schneider.
Here.
And Councilmember Schofield is absent.
Next we'll have pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would somebody like to adopt the amended agenda? Everybody should have the amended one in front of you.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's adopted. Next we move on to public comments. I do believe we have somebody come in if you have any questions when we get to the tree issue, but at this point here, did anybody else contact?
No, but Mr. Higgins will also be back until about 1:45 to answer any questions on the variance.
Okay.
That's all I'm aware of.
Okay, we have no scheduled appearances. Next, we have the, move on to the consent agenda. The following matters may be acted upon by the city council utilizing a single vote. Individual items which any member wishes to address in greater detail or as a separate item on the regular agenda may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any. We have the minutes from the regular city council member, or regular city on October 14th, 2020. Bartender license for Madison R. Olson for the Corral Bar, Brittany Farthing, Andrea N. Otto, and Troy E. Pierce, and Brianna M. Scotch for the Durand travel stop. Now, the one thing on this situation, the chief of police is out this week. He's only had the opportunity to background check on the one, which is the Madison Olson. So if we go ahead and approve these, then we would do it under the contingency for the other ones that the background checks come back when the chief returns to the office on Monday, correct?
Correct.
So again, would somebody like to make a motion to that effect?
I think he's up till Wednesday.
Okay. Well, whatever, yes.
I'll make a motion contingent on Stan's approval per his return on Monday and or Wednesday, whichever day it happens to be.
Next week, okay. Second. We have a motion second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say no. Is approved. Next, we'll move on to the mayor's report. A couple of things to talk about. As we've sort of talked about before the meeting, I'd like to always send out congratulations when we have local people do well. The Durand cross country team, obviously scheduled to run in the state meet coming up this Saturday. Parker Schneider won the boys sectional and will be representing the local high school as an individual. And also the girls team won as a team and will be going, and the members of that team are Holly Plummer, Kendall Hagness, Madison Sand, Brindley Bauer, Olivia Briding, Abby Gibson, and Jasmine Fuentes. So again, good luck to those local kids being successful. Also like to mention that obviously we have an election coming up on Tuesday. A couple of things that it looks like we have some good weather for Tuesday, which is nice. So if we do get lining people up, that they'll be able to line up on the sidewalk. We'll be able to social distance everybody. So again, it looks like that's going to be the case. Being the fact that the county is now at 52 active cases as of the report this afternoon, City Hall will be open for regular business through Tuesday so everybody can vote. But starting on Wednesday, we will again be locking the front doors, and the staff will be available, but only available by appointment. I have made that decision and with conferring with staff. And again, so next Wednesday again, we will be going back as long as this spike continues. And the one thing about it is, and I know it's important, we obviously got to get through the election. There's some very important key people, clerks and so on, and including a couple people sitting in this room, and I'm not one of them, that we need available, especially to get through election and budgeting and so on and so forth, and that's what I'm basing my decision on. Any questions? Hearing none, we have nothing coming off the consent agenda, and now we'll move on to the administrator's report. Administrator Rasmussen.
Mayor, if you'd like to handle the amended agenda.
The amended.
Oh, whoops, I took that. I know somewhere around one. Okay, a confirmation of a mayoral appointment to replace library board. Received a resignation from Katie Walsh. She had served on the library board for a couple of years and did a really nice job. Of course, her regular job is she's the school nurse. She's obviously very busy, dealing with a lot of things, and asked to step off the library board. But we're lucky enough to have Jan Spindler, a former member of the library board, also somebody who helped us out quite a bit when we were short-staffed and so on and so forth, has said that she will take an appointment back. So I would like to have somebody make a motion that we accept the resignation of Katie Walsh from the library board and to approve her replacement, which would be Jan Spindler.
I'll make a motion to accept the resigning of Katie Walsh and approving Jan Spindler on the library board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion's agreed to. Now we'll move on to administrative support.
Okay, let me start with just a quick budget update. The Finance Committee did meet last week and basically recommended a budget to the board that we'll be discussing on the 18th at our public hearing. I would note one item. So basically the summary that I put in front of you tonight, and those of you, Mark and the Mayor, who were on the Finance Committee, there's one change, and now it's not something that requires any approval, it's just more of a clarification. Regarding the capital project, Third Dryer Laneville, that it was recommended by the Public Works Committee, one of the pieces in there, if you remember, I had netted out the $1 million cost. So basically it was a net cost to the city of basically $1,085,010. Mark actually asked a question the next day, just a general question, as I was trying to answer that one, it kind of jumped out at me that clearly we have to spend that money before we get the grant. So to make it appear as what we're spending, basically I tacked on an additional $1 million with obviously the revenue to cover it being the block grant. So basically this is exactly the same as the Finance Committee recommended, except for that one change. And this is pretty much what's going to appear in tomorrow's paper, and again, our requirements for the publication for the public hearing, and it'll also be in next week's paper as well. Otherwise, there weren't too many things that have, I guess a couple things that have kind of popped up since then that we're now aware of. The biggest piece was health insurance. I did get the increases just today, and very happy to report that our increase is frankly minimal. It's between 1% and 2%. The only reason that I kind of hesitate a little bit to say an exact figure is, so basically we have a rate right now that gets us to, this is what our new rate for the people that are on it are January 1st. And again, that is a 1% increase. However, it is based on, it's very individualistic by both gender and age, and we know we're going to have some people that hit those ones. No one's changing genders, I don't think, but we're going to have some folks that are going to hit an age milestone that's going to push them to a higher level at some point in the year. So basically, I need to sit down and look at those, figure it out, and then I can come up with a true, then we know exactly what those rates are going to be. If I haven't said this before, this is a little different than any health insurance I've worked on before. Typically, it's been, here's your rate January 1st, and that stays the same, and so you know exactly how much it's going to cost. This one is a little bit different because it's based on ages, and people, again, can jump categories.
How much did you budget, Scott?
Basically, we budgeted a total 8% increase.
Okay,
And as we talked at finance a little bit, the other piece I'll go back before the meeting of the 18th is determining how much of that is tax levy related and how much of it is on the utilities. Because again, if there's savings in the utilities, obviously that doesn't affect the tax rate. And so that, when we were looking at, so basically it's about, $16,000 a month. At the 18%, so that was, or the 8% that we budgeted. There's gonna be a little bit of savings in there. Just, two other items within the general fund that got brought up. Angie brought up one of the items at the finance meeting. We have to look in, we kind of overlooked, I should say overlooked. We do have some election equipment that we're gonna have to start to replace next year and the year after. And then Stan did come up with, he forgot to include vests, safety vests in his budget, but that would not be more than a couple $1,000. So again, I think we're sitting pretty good. the health insurance rates, those are big deals. You heard Councilmember Racer, for those of you that were at the meeting, I think Councilmember Racer noted that the county saw a significant increase. Fortunately, we didn't. Some of the reasons in talking to our rep was, again, Blue Cross Blue Shield is a big company. Clearly, there were savings for a lot of health insurance companies this year due to, it almost doesn't make sense to a degree, because of COVID. Frankly, a lot of people, there were a lot of elective surgeries that didn't get performed or got pushed off, and so insurance companies, for the most part, were saving a fair amount of dollars. So that was a plus for us. But better still was we had very, very low claims on our employee side this year. So again, the savings were passed along to us, and so again, that's pretty good news. Otherwise, budgetarily, not a lot else out there that probably needs to be determined before the 18th. So again, we'll get to those numbers, and we'll talk again more at the public hearing on the 18th, and get that all sorted out.
Since we already sort of had the numbers put together, the savings in the health, as far as that goes, so if there's any little other thing we need to adjust here in the next few weeks before we get to it, we'll have a little bit, hopefully a little leeway.
Exactly.
We're not going to be, and still stay with similar numbers to what we're presenting to the public.
Yeah, and in summary, again, for those of you that were at the finance committee, so basically what we're looking at for a city mill rate is actually just a little bit, local levy and the mill rate are going to go down just a little bit for the city. Even with this change too, it's going to be probably just a little bit more. Not a lot of magic there. The two biggest pieces were basically a change in some of our capital outlay in the general fund this year. We went down a good 15,000, and just a couple other minimal items. So again, we're sitting pretty good, and I think at least on the city side of things, we look pretty good in the taxpayers' eyes this year. For the tax payment that goes on December to cover the 2021 budget. Any other questions on budget? I want to touch base just a little bit. Mayor talked about elections. Just a reminder from our side. So the in-person elections will still be available until 5 p.m. Friday. Correct, Angie?
Correct.
You've had a steady number. If you have a number, Angie,
Not how many have come in. I have
I mean, it's
no idea. It's been constant.
Yeah, since it started on the 20th, I think it's probably, I'm going to say between 10, 15 people a day. And so it's, again, folks are, and we still have a number of absentee ballots out there, but we know we're going to be busy on the 3rd. As the mayor noted, weather-wise, we should be looking a little bit better for those, and making sure we maintain the social distancing and letting people in and out. Sounds like staffing-wise, we're going to be doing pretty well. Again, I want to echo the mayor's concerns, though, that we have a couple of key people, and I'm not one of them either. So that's, but clearly, we got to make sure that our election clerks are available for that big day.
Have we always been responsible for the election we put?
Yes.
Yes. And it's not a lot of leeway as far as when basically the county decides and everyone is on the same systems. It's kind of the way it works.
Right now we have 317 absentee ballots out, and I have like 67 waiting to come back in. So we're doing pretty good.
And if anybody has an absentee ballot that's got mail, they can bring it all the way up to election day,
Yes, it has to be here by 8 p.m. on election
at
day.
8 p.m. on election day.
Yes.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up is, I have not forgotten about our vacant building notices. Just roughly, I'm looking at the potentiality, I was going to say the 11th, but we got proposals on the 11th, but maybe having a meeting on the 10th, for those of you that are on the economic, that's not economic development, it's community development / housing committee, so that'd be Terry, Travis, Mark, and obviously Mayor. That would, Tuesday, the 10th would work for, I'm sorry, Mark, that doesn't work for you. I was going to say Tuesday, not for you.
No, hey, I don't.
Yeah. Otherwise, we could push
Work
it.
really all the time, right?
Otherwise, we could push that into the next week, because I wouldn't bring that back to council until probably our meeting in December. So even if that following week, even again, I just don't know how long this is going to last. Otherwise, I'd say we could have it before the council meeting on the 18th. I'm thinking hour and a half tops. But the other part of that is, we're gonna have to schedule people in and out. The way we've had it in past years, honestly, I'm thinking we probably gotta have 5 people that want to appeal, and then they're probably gonna show up. But I don't want all 5 of them sitting here, in the audience with, basically the.
Yeah, I think we can wait for that.
So yeah, we don't need a decision here tonight, but if you guys can look at the calendars and see if there's anything that we can talk later in the meeting. You're pretty much wide open right now.
You're like.
So maybe at the 18th, if we have to say 5 o'clock on the 18th, if that works. That's obviously Wednesday. We can talk about that later in the meeting. Otherwise, that's.
Absolutely, yeah. If it works out.
5 o'clock, 18.
Tentatively, and we'll finalize that by the end of the meeting. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Any questions for the city administrator? Hearing none, next we'll have discussion possible action regarding the zoning variance request from Paul Agnes at 275 Country Lane for a variance from section 8.3.3F, which sets the maximum building height for accessory structures. Mr. Agnes is looking to build an accessory building which will exceed the height limitation of 15 feet. I'm also going to announce the second part of it too. Discussion possible action regarding the zoning variance request from Cole Agnes at 275 Country Lane for a variance from the curb cut for a driveway from the standard 18 feet to 36 feet. If you want to talk about this first, this did go in front of the Board of Appeals earlier this evening, and tell us where we're at.
Okay, yeah, and it did go before the Board of Appeals. The detailed plans are up here if anyone wants to see them. One piece I would note on basically what we're asking for a variance is, so on item number 5, it's still exceeding the height limitation of 15 feet. But on item 6, basically the committee recommended with staff's input of going from the standard 18 feet to 30 feet, which was exactly what we approved for Mr. Wittig a couple of months ago. 36 was pretty good size, and I don't know that we've ever approved anything over that. And Mr. Agnes was fine with that. So the zoning board of appeals did recommend to the council then that, and it was unanimous decision for both of these requests, the 15 feet and the 30. Again, we got some plans up here. If you have any direct questions for Mr. Agnes, just now would be your time.
Well, yeah, did I miss, there's a Mr. Wittig.
That's a misprint.
That's a mistake.
That's what I thought. I'm like,
Somebody cut and paste.
Yeah.
Somebody cut and paste it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this ordinance was made prior to annexing the like Country Lane area there and all that, or? I'm just wondering why, say somebody owns 100 feet of property along the roadway, if they want to have a driveway 80 feet long.
And I'm sorry, this is with Travis, the cut and the curb, basically.
Right, but
Yeah.
I know what he's saying, is that if you want an 80-foot wide driveway and you own the curb front to do it, why can't you?
I guess I would turn over to Matt.
That's been the ordinance for many years. Why they chose 18 feet, I guess I don't actually have the honest answer for that tonight. But a residential property per our ordinances cannot be, the residential property cannot be more than 18 feet or 50% of the lot. So like if you had, let's say you had a small lot that was only like 40 feet wide, we couldn't let it be more than 20, for example, through the variance process.
Travis and I just talked a little bit outside of this and just didn't understand where the rationale lies.
Most of it
In
is,
that.
most of it is uniformity, so that you just, when cities construct things, you want everything to look uniform. So you don't want an 18-foot driveway and then a 50-foot driveway and a back down. So when we construct things, it's more for uniformity. I don't know why just 18. I don't have an answer. Why wasn't it 20? Why wasn't it 25? I don't have an actual answer for that. But I know this ordinance has been in place for, a long time.
I'm guessing when it was made, most properties were centralized, narrow, and that would be the
Yeah, so
general
when,
reason for it.
and that's a very good point. Most of these ordinances were, go back to the creation of the city. When you look back then, people were only building on 50-foot wide lots.
Right.
Now everybody wants 100, 200, foot frontages. So as we evolve with time, our ordinances don't usually evolve with time, unless you want to revisit the ordinance and change it. But most of the time, all I can say, speaking from experience, is they, as old as the ordinances are, they were put in place for what was considered like a smaller buildable lot back then.
Did Tony ask for more than 30 feet?
No, he was at 30.
He was,
Yeah.
And the more, it's just for a turnaround, right, to be able to pull in and out with a trailer.
Yeah, it's
easier.
easy backing in,
Yeah.
If you don't live up there, you don't realize how much traffic is actually out there.
Yeah, and you're
Trying to get off the
kind
road
of
fast, so.
You're kind of in a
um,
weird spot too.
Yeah, kind of that turn hill and just trying to get out of harm's way.
Yeah, and you need more than 18, just backing trailers, anything, not even just a little garden trailer,
We're backing
It
a lot
gets
more,
tough, so,
a lot
yeah.
bigger stuff than nowadays.
And as far as that goes, I mean, we can look at the ordinance and decide to say we need to update it size-wise, if there's
Or just keep granting variances.
I mean, we don't get that many, but we can always look at it, yeah.
you're okay with the 30?
It's fine, it'll work.
I hear what you're saying, Terry, but then it's 40 feet, and where do you stop? I mean, because it's been the ordinance for 200 years, doesn't mean we can't change it, doesn't, times have changed.
Right, but it's just, like I said, it's kind of your property unless there's a good explanation.
Right.
Other than aesthetics, so everything looks uniform, nobody's stuff looks uniform anymore. Everything's different, just,
But in theory, though, it's our property.
true.
We can discuss that in the future.
As long as Cole's okay with that, I don't know if we need to hash it out.
No.
Okay, any other questions about the specific project? Anybody else want to look at any other plans? Good. Hearing none, we'll take the first item, which is the, on the height limitation. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the zoning variance for the height limitation for Cole Hagens at 275 Country Lane.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the height limitation request. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartung.
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider.
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion's agreed to. Next, we'll move on to the variance for the curb cut. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the change in the curb cut from 18 to 30 feet, per the committee's recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Is there any more discussion?
What's your total curb length, Cole?
Well, it's 110 feet is a lot, I believe.
So you were saying, Matt, the maximum would have been 50% other than how the ordinance reads?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 50% of the maximum frontage.
Would 36 do you much better than 30?
Use your back trailer.
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
I think we should just give him 36.
I'll withdraw my motion then.
Well, either that or you can just agree to amend.
Okay, I'll amend to 36 now.
Second.
Who had the second needs to agree?
Herb.
Second.
Sorry, Herb.
No, that's it.
Did I miss it? Sorry.
Okay. So we have an amended motion on the floor that we would allow for the 36 feet. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartung.
Yes.
All four in favor?
Motion's agreed to. Thanks for coming.
All.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have discussion of possible action regarding the facade enhancement grant application for the Wine Inn Vizsla. I can't.
Vizsla.
Vizsla, for Michael and Laura Tigan.
They're not over on Andy.
No, I did not see them.
Okay, so we've been working on this with the Tigans for quite some time. I finally did get some vouchers, some paid vouchers for the work that they've done on both the front facade and the back facade. At this point totaling just under $11,000. They plan on doing some more. They actually indicated that they were going to bring some more invoices in. I did not see those. But at this point, if there isn't any objection from the council, I would recommend that, clearly they're going to do basically the $10,000 worth of work. Well, I guess on both sides, basically if they did $10,000 up front, $10,000 in back, as we've discussed with the facade ordinance or the facade grant ordinance, that they would be eligible for upwards of $10,000 in reimbursement if they spent $20,000. It doesn't sound like there's any plans to do any work on the third side anytime soon. So basically, they're looking for at least some partial reimbursement so they can continue with some of their work. Recall that they also applied for the emergency loan program, and ultimately they weren't eligible for that because, again, they're not a going concern. So this was kind of one of the ways that, as I've explained in the past, I kind of pushed them for this. Get this stuff in, you can get your $5,000 plus back that you've already spent to put back into the building. And so if, again, if the council's amenable to basically say, again, so this were, the grant up to $10,000 once they get items in, we'll just reimburse them as those items come in, if you're okay with that. And again, at this point, you got just about $11,000. $9,000 of it is the replacement of the windows, or windows and siding work by Danziger Construction. So, I mean, that's the vast majority of what they have. I think they would be eligible for basically half that amount now. And clearly, it's with a.
So you're looking for us to approve up to 10, 5 aside, without being done?
Well, we're not gonna issue the check, but if they get, so basically, so we don't have to come back for another council meeting, if they bring in $5,000 more of receipts tomorrow, then we could basically get that up to a maximum of $10,000 that they'd be eligible for.
And, yeah, we're basically giving the city administrator the ability to make those payments up to a certain amount, as long as he determines that they've met the requirements.
Yeah.
And I can keep those summarized on a rolling total, so to speak, and.
No more than 50% of their expenses.
Exactly. On either, and also on either side. I mean, that's the
Are they,
piece that they
are they
have.
planning on doing anything with the street side, or
That side.
the through street?
I think it's gonna be some painting, if anything.
So are they gonna be looking for money from that side as well?
Well, I think at some point they might, but at this point, again, they're only working on two
Right,
sides, so again, the maximum of 10. But in the future, Terry, would they be eligible for our program for another 5, for a total of 15? They would be.
So, just a question, how, does it need to be site specific? If I want 15,000 in reimbursement,
Yes.
and I do the work on only the front and back, am I eligible for that? And then if I do eventually do any work on the side, am I just done?
You'd have to reapply for that side.
Well, and I think maybe to your point, it's the ordinance is very specific, that it's 5,000 aside.
Yeah.
So if they, so for
Any
example.
street facing,
Yeah.
or any side facing an active street.
So, but do the receipts have to reflect the size of the
Yes.
building
Yeah.
the work was on?
Yes.
Yeah, and Mr. Danzinger's, because we asked them that they had to have this, has it split out between the front and the back.
That's
Yeah.
all I need to know.
Yeah.
That's it. So we're looking for a motion, so the administrator can make the payments as needed up to 10,000 for the front
Yeah,
and
we're saying
back.
the total amount,
Into the ground.
and once he determines that they meet the requirements of the grant, then he can issue the payment.
I will make the motion as such said.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion second. The motion's on the floor for any more discussion.
Mark, you would
Mark
better
has
say
questions.
that.
He has questions.
Any-
No?
We'd like to talk. Hearing none, since we're spending, or the money, it's a roll call, please.
Councilmember Schofield, or Schneider.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartung.
Yes.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Motion's agreed to. Next, we move on to the police department. Of course, monthly report, we already sort of got that in the last meeting, but, and the chief has been out on vacation this week. Anything else to report from the police department?
No.
Okay. Next, we move on to discussion possible action regarding the DIG trunk or treat event. I believe we have a member of DIG. Oh, there she's already.
Hi.
Hey, Christina, how are you doing?
Good.
And I don't know if we actually need any action on this, but Christina, obviously the event's changed with the recent COVID spike. She's going to explain how they're going to do it. If you would go ahead and how it's changed, and as I said, if there's no concern about it, well, we've already approved the event. So I mean, that's already again. But if there's any concerns with the council, this would be your opportunity to.
Our event is, our approval is based on the health department's okay, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And they have approved this plan.
Okay, then
They
we should
are,
be good.
they are comparing it to the milk giveaway that the food pantry has been doing. It's probably not an ideal situation, but we're making it work so we can still do something for the kids. We are going to have the participants or businesses who have signed up are still going to park on Main Street. They're still going to decorate their trunk, but they're basically turning in their candy to our volunteers who's going to set up by the clock tower where the bridge used to come through on 3rd West. And we are going to have just a small handful of volunteers there at a table, basically with bags that Durand Fresh has donated with some bag holders. Somebody's gonna take basically a bucket scoop of candy, put it in a bag. A lot of businesses have done individual treats or things, so we'll do, you know, an individual. The food pantry has blocks of cheese that they want to get rid of, so we're gonna have blocks of cheese in the bags, coloring books, things like that. So it's going to be
Hopefully Halloween it's orange, or at least
right. Yeah,
it's
it
orange
sounds
colored
like there's
cheese.
all kinds of flavors, so whatever.
That's all right, that's all right.
The Dairy Promotion Committee is going to do cheese sticks, so we're just gonna have that one table. So basically, people will go through, they'll drive down Main Street. In the cars, everybody's gonna smile and wave, happy Halloween, have a great night. They're going to pause. One person is going to hand each child in the car a bag of candy, and they're off on their merry way. So it is one point of contact. We are asking no foot traffic. It is drive-through only between 1st Avenue and 4th Avenue West. Like I said, they'll pause by the clock tower, park there next to the bake shop, and then they'll be off on their way and do whatever they please. So again, not ideal, obviously, but it's something.
And you're still asking for the roads to be closed from First to basically to the supermarket?
We shouldn't have to go past 4th West, because we will do the candy at 3rd West, and then once they get to 4th, I'm going to have Durand Police Department at 1st Avenue to kind of, you know, say, hey, street's closed, they will slow people down, let them proceed through Main Street. The Sheriff's Department will be at 4th Avenue to make sure nobody's coming in that way, and then to make sure people are exiting. Fire and ambulance will be at either second or third, just in the intersection, again, to block those intersections from people coming through. And then if they have to make an exit, they can do so easily. So yeah.
Okay.
Well, people trying to get, I'm sorry, Mayor, if they're trying to get to the business, will they still be let in?
There will not be
So
parking
there will not
on
be,
Main
okay.
Street other than for trunk or treat. I think we talked about doing from 1 o'clock and then set up starting at 2, just to try to clear people out, give an hour to clear people out, let participants in at 2 to set up for the event at 3.
So the no foot traffic, how if I'm average Joe, no kid, want a meal, how do I get someplace then?
I mean, I
You
think
just
if
go-
you're just walking through to a business,
Yeah, that's it's just
fine.
me saying for this
Yeah.
event.
No
You
walk,
can still
no
walk.
foot traffic
Yeah.
down Main Street.
Down,
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
Down the road, yeah.
Yep.
I guess the question for me is, there are some kids that don't, their families don't have a car.
I don't know.
You know, a few of them, so.
They're going old school, house to house.
I guess you're gonna have to give up a trunk or treat, yeah.
And I don't know if we want to, I don't know. I don't know how to handle that.
You gotta do the best you can, this sounds
Yeah.
like it's the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
We have lost a few participants because of the way we're doing it, but I don't know what they expect. We can't really do any better than this.
My wife's part of it too, and
Yeah,
so I get it.
yep. We still have about 20 people signed up, so, I mean, it's still something. I may, in the next day or two, which it's in 3 days, try to see if we can't condense it a little bit instead of having 20, because that 20 includes the fire department, ambulance, basically 4 emergency services, so they're kind of, so we're looking at 16, give or take, cars spread out across 2 sides of 3 blocks. It's gonna be kind of really spaced out. So I'm gonna see about condensing it. We may be able to fit everybody on 2 blocks, maybe even 1, but I would say 2. I think we could cut off one of the blocks if, I'm thinking actually, might have to sweet talk the radio station, depending on where they set up, but they may be the only one left on that 100 block.
We can make something work. I mean, I'm still trying to figure something out here, and with everything going on, who knows? I might have a last minute thing where I'm not gonna be able to even put anything together, so.
Right, so I mean, we may be able to condense it to the 200 and 300 block, so from 2nd Avenue to 4th Avenue. But,
Any other questions for Christina on the event?
Matt, anything?
What road closed signs and barricades and things like that, if you condense this, you're gonna make sure you let me know. My staff's gonna be putting everything out Friday afternoon,
okay,
so,
Yep.
you know, just let me know.
I'll try to figure it out
Right
tomorrow.
now, we're planning on, you know, basically year 1st to 4th, so.
Well, and even if we had the road closed sign at first, it would give an extra block to slow people down and let them know, hey, there's something going on down here.
So
So,
we'll have it all out, somebody will just have to basically
Sure.
drag it out and shut everything off. But on the avenues,
yep,
you know, they'll be shut off. So like 2nd Avenue will be shut off at Madison Street. You know,
Yeah.
so the actual cones and barricades will be on Madison Street from 2nd and 3rd and 4th.
sure,
And then 2nd Avenue down by the river will be kind of down by the
Mhm.
boat landing. That way we don't even have people coming up
yep,
the hill. So don't just look for the signs to be sitting on Main Street.
Sure.
They're gonna be down around the corner so that we just even keep traffic from even coming close to those areas.
sure, yep. And then just to clarify again on the avenues, we will have the emergency services parked like sideways in the middle of them. So as Main Street, they will park, you know, in that avenue to further block, just to protect and.
And again, with the giveaway, Candy Star giveaway at 3 again till, is it
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yep.
Sure.
Or until we run out,
Or until you run out. That's it, that's awesome.
hopefully.
Well, the dairy group learned anything, but they had
Yeah.
the big one this past spring, or this past June. It was, Okay, any other questions?
Just thanks for being flexible.
Yeah, thank you for all the work you've done to get this, and it's well organized. I think doing and dealing with the situation, we do appreciate it.
And kudos for the best of that situation.
And yeah, doing the best we can. Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good. Thanks.
Good one, Christina, thank you.
Okay, fire department, anything else to report from the fire department?
Nothing from fire,
Anything ambulance?
nothing from ambulance.
Okay, public works, engineer, anything from Cedar Corp that we need to?
Progress is moving along, for the engineering of our road construction projects. You're gonna see tomorrow or Friday or both, they're gonna be starting the soil borings. There's 10 different soil boring sites, marked all the way up to Country Lane and then some on Dryer. So we're moving along well with the engineering portions of the projects. Other than that, hopefully sometime here in November or the beginning of December, we'll be finalizing the cemetery.
Okay, any other questions on the engineer's report? If not, we'll move on to the monthly report, Superintendent Gillis.
Yes, as you all are well aware of, I know I touched on it on the finance committee, but last Tuesday and Wednesday was a pretty long day for Public Works. We had a snowstorm on Tuesday, and then we had a water main break at 10 o'clock, or sorry, 11 o'clock Tuesday night. We lost about 400, total usage was about 425,000 gallons of water that day. The average daily consumption's about 160 to 170, so we lost about 250-ish, 280-ish thousand gallons of water. The water main, according to our graphs, blew at about 10:30, called us out, called me out on my phone from the alarm at the sewer plant, and we had everything shut off and isolated by about 11:30. So called me out at about 11. So from 11 to 11:30 we lost, from 10:30 to 11, we lost about 4 to 5 feet of water in our water tower, which triggered the alarm. And then it took us about, by the time we got the snow and found the valves and cleared the snow out and got the valves shut off, another 20 to 30 minutes or so. So staff did a wonderful job. They were all home sleeping, preparing to come in and plow snow. Their phones went off, they all answered, they were all here within about 5 to 10 minutes, so I can't give them enough praise for answering the phone and getting here as soon as they can, so that we did not lose the water tower, or the water reservoir actually. So we were down to about 8 feet left in the reservoir. 17 and a half is full, so from 10:30 to 11:30 we lost 17 and a half feet down to 8 feet. So just almost 3/4 of our reservoir we ended up losing.
Are the pumps trying to put that back at the same time it's going down, I'm assuming?
Yes, so as it goes down and it signals the pump to kick on, the pump will kick on. So essentially the pump, even with the pump running at 1,000 gallons a minute, we were still losing. We were probably losing 2,500 gallons a minute. And the pump is putting out just shy of 1,000 gallons a minute. So we were going backwards until we got things shut down. So.
When you say lose the reservoir, what does that mean to me, man?
So the reservoir is a big 450,000 gallon tank of water. That's what supplies the pressure and the water to the citizens on the lower half of town. When that goes empty, the whole city loses its pressure and has a zero water. So if we lose that, and then by state law we automatically go into what's called a boil water notice for 48 to 72 hours. So if we lose the pressure and we lose the water out of that reservoir, we'll be forced into, by DNR code, a boil water notice, and everybody in town will be boiling their water for drinking consumption for 48 to 72 hours until I get good water sampling. So crucial, guys got to move pretty quick, and they did a good job. So I've thanked them as many times as I can. They did a fantastic job. By the time we got that done, we just decided to go plow snow. So they started plowing snow at probably around midnight. We had set up a detour on 25. Time I contacted all my excavators, called Diggers Hotline. They went out and plowed snow, and I kind of took care of the logistics of getting the water main fixed. The backhoe was here probably around 8-ish, give or take, Wednesday morning. We had the water turned back on by about 10:30. We only had one customer out of water from the time we shut it off at 11:30 until 10:30. So we went out a lot of customers, which is a good thing. We did, so the water main, I do have some pictures, the water main actually blew a hole, about 6-inch hole right in the top of the water main. So basically we had like a fire hydrant shooting underground, shooting straight up in the air. So it undermined everything, and then it heaved the blacktop. That's why I have such a big patch out there. It actually heaved blacktop from almost
Is that the
curb to curb.
prospect patch?
Yes. So we heaved the blacktop, so we had to rip out all that blacktop and put a temporary patch in for the winter. So next summer we'll tear that temporary patch out and put actual HMA in there.
What was it, ductile? What blew was it?
Ductile. So it probably started with a pinhole, or maybe something the size of your pinky, and then as water is actually used as it's like a cutting torch. As soon as you get a small hole started, it just takes that hole and expands it until you get it shut down, so.
Like a month or two, you said that the water usage was a little high, nothing major, but it was a little high. Do you think that might have been a little factor, like it would have been a decent sized leak for a while? Or?
It could have been, but then we also had leak detection in here in July,
Right.
and there was nothing leaking there in July. So if we had a small leak, it would have had to have started after leak detection was here. So we had leak detection here in July, we fixed those 3 services, and then we had leak detection back about 2 weeks after that. Because we were so high, and I had a couple of wet areas pretty close to a water main. I had them check, and then I had them check these 3 services that we fixed again. And they still didn't catch anything, because the service that we fixed down here behind Wolf's, if there would have been a leak up there, we would have heard it that far away, just by checking the fire hydrants around that one. So if we did have a small leak there, it only occurred within the last month or 2 tops. Other than that, our new plow truck is scheduled to be here, the F550 that we ordered for this year's budget. It should be here around the end of November, first week in December. Ford just got the truck to them in October. Supposed to be to them this week, beginning of next week, and then they need 4 weeks to put the body and stuff on. So hopefully we should have it by the end of November, first week in December. Still working on our broken shaft issue at the wastewater treatment plant. Not a whole lot new to talk about there. Still working on getting numbers. Crane Engineering is giving me a number, and then I've also found a company, Process Equipment, Lamont Elbers. He's going to be working on getting me some pricing to get it repaired. Talked to a lot of different people over the last week and a half, and those are the 2 companies that I was basically referred to. Talked to some of my contacts in different engineering firms, as well as Cedar Corp. Talked to an old engineer that did some work for us here in the early 2000s. He works for Davey Engineering. Contacted him. He gave me a couple. These were the top 2 on his list, and a couple other contacts that I have. These 2 were in the top 3 on his list too. So working with them to get some pricing, and everything we're talking about, it's gonna be at least 150, if not even a little higher than that. So still working on the final numbers.
Any questions for Public Works and Utilities? And again, I know I said this at the Finance Committee meeting, but obviously, great that obviously your staff and the way they came through with our 2 situations with the snowstorm and the leak in the water main, and doing a great job of mitigating the situation as quick as we could, so we didn't have any worse situation. But obviously, you and your staff need to be commended for that. Anything else then? Okay, let's pay the bills. As far as upcoming meetings, we have a regular council meeting on the 11th.
Oh, no.
That's okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I had it, I knew we were changing it, I
No,
just put it in as a reminder.
18.
So on the 18th, we're having, and that's going to include the budget hearing?
Yes.
And obviously with Thanksgiving and everything, it would be the only meeting, the full meeting we're going to have during the month of November. If we have to call an emergency or a last minute meeting because something we have to determine by the end of the month, we will go ahead and do that. So.
I know it's gonna happen eventually.
And as far as, all the committees have now met.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, so only the for community development and for the vacant building.
Vacant building will also be undertaken for that.
Yep.
Because we're figuring if it works out to do that at 5 on
On the 18th.
the 18th, and then the public hearing and everything, all at the 6:30. Does that make sense?
My fingers, but I'm trying not to. We gotta have half of them back over here then too.
We didn't have very many this time. Usually a second one.
Sure.
Did you grab? This is my stack, you guys want?
Crack staff. They're getting
Yeah, Terry's on the bottom.
Yeah, yours is on this one.
I was gonna bring up, we have a professional driver in the room that maybe want to take appointments for some of those kids that maybe need a ride for home.
That's a wonderful idea. She won't be doing anything else.
Yeah.
You got a sword card
Once you
also.
lose the sense of the term when you say professional.
But we don't want him to
You get paid for it, you're professional.
get, we need him to have his precautions so he doesn't get sick because we need him for the election.
Well, there is that, yeah, never mind.
Yeah,
Too valuable for that.
thank you.
Okay, somebody like to make a motion to approve the vouchers?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the vouchers as presented. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartung.
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider.
Yes.
All four in favor.
Anybody else have any other future issues or agenda items? If not, I entertain a motion to
Before we do,
Okay.
we're gonna, that development meeting, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're still shooting for the 18th at 5 o'clock if that works for, that's Travis, Terry, and Mark.
Yeah.
And then with full council at 6:30.
Keep me posted.
If not, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second.
It was gonna take
Adjourn.
Mark
Yeah,
out.
just all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We are adjourned.
I think it was you and I pretty happy. I was gonna let Mark handle things. No,
Yeah, there's a lot of Hooker and Hartung
I
on
was
here.
figuring it too, they had, then I delete button. Backspace.